watching the NFC Champion Saints postgame show on Fox 8.
And welcome back to the Louisiana Superdome. You can see that the headline says it all. Super Saints. The Saints are going to the Super Bowl for the first time in their 43 years. And we have plenty of post-game reaction and pre-Super Bowl reaction, I suppose you could say. Sean Payton was in the locker room where he caught up with Saints cornerback Jabari Greer.
Inside the locker room here with Saints cornerback Jabari Greer. And Jabari, first and foremost, NFC Championship game comes down to the last second. What's going through your mind as Garrett kicks that field goal?
Well, I guess it's the accumulation of a lot of hard work, and to come down to a single play, it was amazing. It was just a testament to our team's perseverance, to our leadership, and to our will. I think that we got the right mix in this locker room to make something like that happen.
Talk about the ebb and flow of this game. There was any time one team would kind of gain a little momentum, the other one would get it right back. I mean, how fun is it and how challenging is it to play in a game like that?
Well, this is the championship game, and I mean, we wouldn't expect anything else. These guys, they're a very good team, and they came to play. So did we, and it showed. It was a game that I believe we played on the ESPN Classic for a long time.
Talk about going up against a guy like Brett Favre. Obviously, he's a guy that's been around, knows the game, he's a warrior, but to have to advance to the Super Bowl going through one of the best of all time.
Well, I mean, that's the type of game we play. You have to rise up and capitalize no matter who you're playing, and it's been fun. No matter who's back there, you have to step up and make a play. So fortunately, we were able to do that today. It's fun to get to play against guys that you watch on TV and are idolized through the media. And he's had a terrific career. He's been somebody that's been synonymous with the game of football, and he's definitely changed the game. So fortunately, we're able to get a win today. But he still had a great career.
If you ask anyone from the first day of training camp, the first thing we all noticed covering this team basically is the turnovers. You guys ripping at the ball after every play, and it's kind of fitting that's what really put you guys over the hump tonight.
We were able to do that. We had some key turnovers. We left some out there on the field, but we were able to get just enough to impact the game. So, Tracy had a big one at the end. Vilma had two. Remy had one. I mean, it was just the name of the game, creating turnovers, and creating opportunities for our offense, and we were able to capitalize. And
a touchdown had to be challenged to get in from Pierre's fourth down conversion. It's just in a game so evenly matched. Sometimes it comes down to a couple inches.
It is, and it has. It's a hard-fought game. I don't believe anybody has anything left in their tank today. I think we gave it all for each other, all for this team, and all for the city of New Orleans. So, we have something that we can lay our head down on our pillow and be proud of tonight. It's a big step for us, but we realize that there's a big goal out there, and we're going to work hard to go out there and get it.
Jabari, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Good luck, Miami.
Jabari Greer, a soft-spoken guy whose play speaks loudly on the football field. And we have Rob Ennis back here with us. And Rob, I'll tell you, when he came back from his hernia injury, really not only did that improve the pass defense, but it also gave the Saints the confidence that he and Tracy Porter would be sound enough in coverage where they can load the line of scrimmage and stop a guy like Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, I think Jabari Greer is the best cover corner in Saints history. I mean, you look how bad their pass defense was when he was out, when he had the injury, and then he comes back for the regular season finale against Carolina, only plays on like third down and nickel, got his feet wet, then comes back against Arizona in the playoff game, really didn't miss a step. He was healthy, he was held out a long enough time so where when he came back, he was healthy, and again, another big game from Jabari tonight.
That's right, and again, one of those players, along with Tracy Porter, along with Jonathan Vilma and the rest of the Saints, that have been so adept this season at taking the football away. You saw it here tonight. 3 fumbles, 2 interceptions from the Minnesota Vikings. Again, and it played out the way we thought it would play out. Yes, the Minnesota Vikings defense is good at stopping other teams from getting yardage, but the New Orleans Saints, they excel in taking the football away, and with the help of that 12th man, the Houdats tonight, things played out the way they should, and the Saints took the ball away. The Saints won the game. Yeah,
the Saints defense is the most opportunistic defense in the NFL, and tonight they showed why. I mean, 7 fumbles. They capitalized on 3. They had a couple picks. Vilma had an interception. Porter had the big interception late in the game. Vilma also recovered a fumble. Adrian Peterson, he had butterfingers all night. He couldn't hang on.
All career. That's what he does.
That's what knocks him. And, you know, you would think he would get over that in the playoff game, but obviously he didn't. But this defense, I mean, what they were able to do and just step up. You know, I mentioned the Tracy Porter pick. I mean, think about it. That's Brett Favre leading his team to the Super Bowl on that drive. And you've got a second-year cornerback who's been banged up, had the knee injury in St. Louis, comes back, and maybe makes one of the plays of the year on defense.
Yeah, and you talk about Brett Favre. Yeah. Now, of course, so much of the talk going into this game was about Brett Favre and the great player that he was, the amazing season that he had in his 19th season, and yet there was a key sequence at the end of the game where he calls 2 straight timeouts, gets a 5-yard penalty when the Vikings are in field goal range already. So now that you've moved back 5 yards, now he tries to force a pass to get back within field goal range and throws it right to Tracy Porter. Brett Favre, can we say the C word? Did he choke tonight?
I think, well, you could say he choked a little bit, but it was also poor coaching on Minnesota down the stretch. And also take into the account that Brett Favre was on his back for most of the night. I mean, when he was throwing the ball, he was getting hit. Bobby McCray, just like he did to Kurt Warner last week, decleated a 40-year-old quarterback, laid him out. And, you know, every time Favre was throwing the ball, he was getting hit. And, you know, over time, over a game, that wears on a quarterback. Sure. Not to mention, he's an old man. He's 40 years old. He had to be helped off the field.
Hey, 40's not old.
Hey, I didn't say it. All right. But what Favre was able to do, I mean, he wore down a little bit down the stretch. And, of course, the 12th man, I mean, made him burn 2 timeouts. That was huge.
Well, and the funny thing is, Fox ran an excellent soundbite from Favre during the game. I think it was like second quarter, where Favre talked about how much the noise affected him. You would think 19 years, the guy's seen everything, nothing would affect him that much. And yet to hear this soundbite that they ran on the Fox national broadcast, Favre was very much, even in year 19, very much affected by the type of crowd noise generated in a place like the Louisiana Superdome.
Yeah, just imagine, I mean, if you're a quarterback in the huddle and your teammates can't hear your play call. They're trying to read your lips, and I know the Vikings had some professional earplugs, you know, made in Minnesota, but I mean, I don't know how that would work. That's still going to drown it out. You still can't hear the quarterback. You still have to read the lips, but just, you know, so many teams have come into this dome this year with star quarterbacks. You look at Eli Manning, you look at Kurt Warner, you look at Tom Brady, you look at Brett Favre tonight. These are elite passers in the NFL who have just struggled here in the Superdome, and of course it comes down to the noise.
And of course, Houdats out there, I mean, I know you can relate to what Brett Favre and these quarterbacks are going through. I mean, tell the truth. You're in a game here, and you're in these stands, and you're sitting next to your friend or your relative, and you've been talking to them all game, and you can't hear the person next to you. Right. And you go home, and you've got a frog in your throat. That's how it affects you in the stands. Imagine how it affects them out in the field when the quarterback's trying to yell 20 yards out to the wide receiver. Not a chance.
Yeah, we know the feeling. We're in the press box. I mean, we can't even hear the PA announcer, you know, after the play, you know, gain of 2 yards. What did he say? Did you get that? No, it was too loud.
Right.
But, I mean, think about what that does for the offense, but think about what it does for the Saints defense. That just gets them jazzed up. Vilma's, you know, igniting the crowd. Everybody's just, you know, fueled on adrenaline, and then what that does is it rattles the offense, rattles the quarterback, and the Saints force turnovers.
Well, I tell you, a guy who's not going to get rattled next week, at least we don't expect it next week, in 2 weeks, Peyton Manning. Yeah. One of New Orleans' favorite sons. You know, we're going to enjoy this win tonight, but there's certainly a very stern test awaiting the New Orleans Saints in Miami.
Yeah, you could say he's probably the best quarterback in the NFL. I mean,
maybe in history.
Maybe in history. And I know, talking to Darren Sharper after the game, these guys, they're saying, you know what? Like we said, played Eli Manning, played Kurt Warner, Tom Brady, Brett Favre. They had practice all season for the ultimate guy on the ultimate game. I think they're gonna surprise some people what they can do to shut down this Colts offense. You realize the Colts don't have a rushing game. It's all centered around Peyton Manning, just like they did tonight. if Peyton Manning gets the pass off, you still have to hit him. And I think that's what Greg Williams is going to do. If he gets the ball off, still put him on his back by third, fourth quarter, he's thinking he's going to get hit. I know it's Peyton Manning, best quarterback maybe of all time, but if you rattle him and you pressure him, it takes effect late in the game.
And the funny thing that Greg Williams does, you know, we're used to a quarterback like Peyton Manning, even Kurt Warner and Brett Favre. We're used to an experienced quarterback seeing that blitz and making the team that's blitzing him pay for sending that blitz. But the thing that Greg Williams seems to do so well is disguise his blitzes. Yep. Okay, I'm sending 10. No, I'm not. I'm sending 3. I'm not going to send any. Oh, I'm sending 6. You know, at the last minute, not showing his hand until he absolutely has to. And even I noticed tonight, I mean, you just never quite knew where. You knew it was coming, but you didn't know where it was coming from.
And you have to give Jonathan Vilma a lot of credit for doing that. I was watching him a couple plays. I mean, he's barking out calls. He's a defensive quarterback. He's a leader out there. He's barking out all these signals. And then at the last second, he does another signal, and they all get back into position out of the disguise.
I remember the exact play you're talking about. And on that play, I think Vilma got back and knocked a pass down. Yeah, when he sent like 3 or 4 defenders way back deep into coverage right before the snap of the ball. I mean, so Greg Williams has these guys thinking out there, and it's a real credit to the players, real credit to the coaching out there for the New Orleans Saints. And I guess if you're playing the Indianapolis Colts, obviously you're going to have to, you expect to get into a score fest with a team like that. And I think one of the encouraging signs from tonight's game is that, yes, Drew Brees threw for under 200 yards. Right. Yes, the running game rushed for under 100 yards, and yet 31 points on the scoreboard.
Still impressive what they were able to do tonight against a very talented Minnesota team. I think it's going to be a shootout against the Colts. It's going to be who can force turnovers. I mean, you look at the Saints' big wins. All their big wins, they forced turnovers. They had a bunch of them tonight. I mean, 7 fumbles by Minnesota. The Saints forced 5 turnovers. I mean, if you force that many turnovers, that's the #1 stat in the NFL. If you win the turnover battle, you're going to win. And, of course, it's going to be no different in the Super Bowl.
Well, we're going to win the turnover battle and turn it over to John and Nancy. How's that for a segue?
Very good. All right. Thanks so much, guys. And, you know, when they talked about how Brett Favre got pounded on, you know, our quarterback, he had some pressure, but was pretty protected. You know,
well, they both did a really good, not to try to do X's and O's here from the news desk, but they were both pretty awesome, especially Brees in the beginning, of how quickly he gets away with the football. Here's a little bit of how this is a whole new world. And I'm not going to plagiarize here. This is from Stephanie Grace from the Times-Picayune on her Facebook page. She writes that she heard "Stand Up and Get Crunk" emanating from the Hermes Bar at Antoine's. So that
nice.
It cuts across all of the socioeconomic classes, and it's one big party, one uniting. People, you know, New Orleans has its problems, but the Saints and Mardi Gras unite us, and they certainly have tonight.
And the guys who made that song are from Atlanta, the Yin Yang Twins, and we were talking to them today, and they were like, why are you now Saints fans? They're like, because the Saints play our song every time they make a touchdown.
They're not playing it in Atlanta.
That's right. So that was a lot of fun, but that does show from highbrow to get crunk.
It does, and it is an historic night in New Orleans, a fun night, and we're going to have more of it in just a moment.
Oh. Okay. Ah! Oh. I'm trying to C-R-U-E. Tell them how we gonna come. Tell them why they don't run. Tell them why they better run. Stand up, make it quiet. Here we come to get you. Okay. Get bad.
I'm Blaine Kern, Mr. Mardi Gras.
And I'm Barry Kern, and this is our Rouse's.
It's not Mardi Gras without Rouse's King Cake. Rouse's bakes their king cake fresh every day.
Bake me something, mister.
I like the traditional king cake.
I like the flavor.
Traditional.
The flavors are better. We tell everybody, get all your parade stuff at Rouse's. They make everything from party trays, sandwiches, chips, anything you need. How about that fried chicken?
I always was a leg man.
Fast Tax offers instant refund and one-day refund loans, and our bank has funds available for our clients. Some tax offices no longer offer refund loans, so your refund could take 2 to 3 weeks. Before you go anywhere, stop by Fast Tax. No runaround, no worries. During this economic crisis, if you want to get your money fast, go to Fast Tax to find out about your refund loan today. Don't let your check be a slow check. Think fast. Call 504-942-8000.
Fast Tax.
I'm personal injury attorney Michael Hingle. Have you been hit by a big rig like this one? If you're in a wreck with an 18-wheeler, we'll take them to court and they won't be so big.
Michael Hingle has offices in New Orleans, Hammond, Covington, Slidell, by appointment, Metairie, Houma, LaPlace, Gretna. Call attorney Michael Hingle, 1-800-USA-JURY.
Before you accept a quick check with me.
6 years ago, I was diagnosed with lymphoma. The thought of not being there for my children terrified me. And trying to determine which hospital would be best, the one name that came up the most was MD Anderson. It was absolutely worth it for me to go from Kansas City to Houston. The customized care that I received from MD Anderson was critical to my remission. To be with my kids today, what a gift that is. MD Anderson made my cancer history.
There's only one you, and only one MD Anderson, ranked #1 in the nation for cancer care.
Introducing the Accord Cross Tour with available 4-wheel drive from Honda.
Claude Mauboray brings 15 years experience as assessor. His knowledge of that office is unmatched. He fought to get all assessments online and open to the public, assuring total transparency. And after Katrina, he prevailed upon the legislature to be allowed to reassess all properties damaged in the flood. Claude Mauboray has earned a reputation of being fair, open, and equitable. Claude Mauboray, a seasoned assessor who will listen.
You're watching the NFC Champion Saints postgame show on Fox 8.
Natasha Robin with Saints fans in the moments after the kick from Garrett Hartley, and a man who uttered unbelievable about 6 times and sounded eloquent doing so. I mean, it is unbelievable. Some of the headlines tonight on ESPN: who dat in the Super Bowl? Fox Sports says, how about that? Over and here's the one we like. The Minneapolis Star-Tribune says over and out in overtime. And from the Sporting News, Saints be praised. It is an unbelievable night.
It is, and you know, I talked to Ricky Jackson with the Dome Patrol earlier today, and I said, you know, Ricky, on a game like this, would you be nervous? He said, no, I'd be ready to hurt somebody. They're not nervous, and they're going to win. He was very prophetic when he said that, and Jennifer Helt had a conversation with Ricky as well. Let's listen in.
What do you think was the deciding point in this game?
Saints won.
Saints won. I know. What do you think was the deciding point?
Well, Brett Favre
Brett Favre throwing across his body, getting the interception, and then going in the coin toss, and we got the coin. You know, I don't know what it's called, heads or what it was. And once you did that, was a great. When you get an explosive offense, it went right down. Got the field goal.
How big of a factor do you think this home crowd was?
It's always, if two teams are even, it's always touchdown favorite. It's always, that's why you kind of rule of thumb is two teams evenly matched at home, home team a touchdown better.
You've played a lot, you've seen a lot. What was this dome like in comparison to other home teams?
That's the only one I've been to all year.
I know, but over your history, you've seen a lot. Was this dome rocking?
Yeah. Dome stadiums rock, but Saints fans are pretty crazy. It's pretty cool.
What do you think the Saints need to do in the Super Bowl to defeat Peyton Manning and the Colts?
Well, I mean, I just finished this game. So
I know, tough question. I'm sorry.
No, it's not a tough question. You saw 5 turnovers by Minnesota, and they still could have beat the Saints.
Came down to the wire.
Saints gave up 475 yards on offense. They were out. Minnesota ran almost 40 more plays. They cannot do that. Their defense cannot do that against Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning will eat them alive.
We got to tighten up.
You got to tighten up.
Thank you so much, Terry. Have a great night. Oh, God bless you. Take care. Guys, we're here with former Saints player Ricky Jackson celebrating the Saints' first bid to the Super Bowl. Ricky, did you have a moment where you said they're going to win this game?
Yes, I mean, I feel like they're going to win it. Everything went in the Saints' favor. I mean, they had a lot of turnovers, and we played well today.
So it was such a close game. Were you ever nervous, or you knew from the beginning this was it, we were going to have this?
I'll tell you what, man, when we got the coin toss, I felt real good about that. But, you know, a championship game supposed to go down to the wire and keep people on their heels and knees. And I tell you what, man, the Saints gave it all they had and had a victory for the hometown.
Who do you think, if you had to pick an MVP for tonight from the Saints, who would it be?
Well, they have numerous guys, but you always got to go with the quarterback. He led the team. He's been doing it all year, so you can't, you know, ain't nobody stood out, you know, no more than he did. So you have to kind of stick with the quarterback.
As a Superdome veteran, how much of a factor do you think this home crowd team was?
Well, I mean, Brett held it pretty good. He was a veteran quarterback, and he did great for his team. But you can see right there at the end where, you know, the pressure got to him, and he threw the interception, what we've been waiting on all year. And they had a lot of turnovers today because they couldn't hear the guys coming up behind them because the crowd noise was so loud. We got a chance to script the ball and get some great turnovers.
Do you think this Who Dat Nation was a big factor in tonight's win?
Oh, the 12th man always win. I tell you what, man, we just had the offense just to get the points that they got tonight. You know, you'd have had a whole lot of Super Bowls because they do their job, you know, and I take my hat off to them.
And we certainly want to celebrate tonight. We don't want to not relish in the moment. But that being said, what do you think we have to do to win in Miami? Because that's the next step.
Well, we got to put pressure on Peyton, and that's going to be the key. Don't let him throw the ball over. I figure the game will come down to like it did tonight because our offense is going to score. And if our defense can hold them down to 21 points or less, we'll win the ball game.
Do you think we can contain Peyton Manning?
Yeah, I mean, we can contain Brett Favre. I mean, you know, he been just like Peyton Manning all year, been exciting, and he got a lot of points tonight. I mean, they got 28 points, so that's a lot of points. But if we can hold Peyton Manning to 21, we'll win the ball game.
Hurricane Katrina, a lot of folks thought this city was done. A lot of people signed off on us. I think for a lot of fans, this is, hey, we're back.
Well, you can't hold a Who Dat down. They don't know what a Who Dat is. You can't hold that Who Dat. And these guys showing you Who Dat going to rise in any way it go.
The rest of the country doesn't even know what it is, but we're back, huh?
All right, and I tell you what, we're building strong, too.
Thank you so much, Ricky Jackson. Thank you for your time. Guys, a historic moment for the Saints in the Superdome tonight. Not only the Saints football team, but the Saints faithful. They are out full force tonight, and I would garner to bet they're going to be there in Miami as well. Back to you.
You can't hold a Who Dat down. Jennifer Hale.
Who Dat's going to rise every time.
Oh, by the way, we understand that at Sports Academy, I guess out in Metairie, people Harahan, excuse me. People are lining up because they want to make sure they're there to get the championship gear when it goes on sale in the morning.
At midnight. And we're going to bring that to you a little bit later. We'll be back in a moment.
tradition, we've been loyal fans of the Saints. We have celebrated in every touchdown and victory. We are your Super Chevy dealers, proud supporters of the New Orleans Saints. And now, during the playoff payoff, you can save with 0% for 72 months on new Silverados, regular cabs, extended and crew cabs, 0 for 72. And current GM owners can save an additional $2,000. See your Super Chevy dealer or log on to superchevydealers.com.
We've got a problem at City Hall. We're facing record deficits. The politicians' answers are more taxes and service charges. My answer is scrub the budget, get tough on waste and corruption, and change the way things are done at City Hall. Everyone knows I didn't build a small family business into one of the region's largest companies by being a pushover. I have the toughness to fix what's wrong at City Hall and get New Orleans moving again.
John Georges, Mayor.
When I got hurt offshore, I thought my life was over. I couldn't support my family. All I did was worry. Then a friend told me about how Mr. Lewis would fight for me and my family.
A highly skilled attorney and pilot with offshore experience, Louis St. Martin knows how to get you the compensation you deserve.
I gave my all on the job. Now Mr. Lewis is getting us all we need.
When Louis St. Martin takes your case, you can take care of what's important. Call 1-800-222-3984 today.
Southern Quality Ford Dealers and Wendy's present the Advanced Auto Parts Monster Jam. Brought to you by Food Trucks and Wolverine. Consumer value seats are just $10 to see Jurassic Attack, Stone Crusher, Monster Mutt, World Champions Taz, and Grave Digger. The Superdome debut of Travis Pastrana's Nitro Circus Monster Truck. Plus buy a pair of Wolverine boots or shoes at Academy Sports and Outdoors and get a free adult ticket voucher. January 30th, the Superdome.
What? This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to raise and beautify your home at no cost to you. $100,000 LRA reimbursement grants are available. Orleans Shoring is the only elevation company to finance you through the elevation project.
We'll be fine thanks to Orleans Shoring, and it didn't cost us a dime.
Call 888 Elevate. Orleans Shoring, never flood again.
You're watching the NFC Champion Saints postgame show on Fox 8.
Lots of screaming, dancing, cheering, jumping, and some crying. Tears of joy on Bourbon Street tonight.
Yeah, even Minnesota fans have to do a little celebrating just because they're in New Orleans. Natasha Robin is live on Bourbon.
That's right, Nancy. We haven't seen too many Minnesota fans down here on Bourbon Street, but the Saints fans are showing no signs of slowing down. It's a sea of black and gold for blocks down Bourbon Street. Cheers are breaking out. Fans, in some cases, just running down Bourbon with the Saints flag. Hoodats are beside themselves. And if the streets look like this, you can imagine what the bars and the clubs are like in the French Quarter. They're packed. We found some unique fans up here on the balcony of Tropical Owl. These guys, actually, Chris here, he's not even from New Orleans, but he's a die-hard Saints fan. Is that right, Chris?
Yes, ma'am. Die-hard Saints fan from Virginia Beach, Virginia.
And tell me, why are you such a Saints fan? How long have you been a fan?
I've been a fan just about my whole life. Just grew up rooting for the underdog and everything, and finally got this day coming. We're not the underdog anymore, baby.
Now, the Saints have come a long way, right, Chris?
Yes, ma'am.
You were actually you're a season ticket holder.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were in the Dome tonight.
Yes,
what was that atmosphere like in the Superdome? What are some of the moments that you remember from tonight in the Dome?
It was crazy. It was intense. We were holding our hearts the whole time, crossing our fingers, saying our prayers. One of the things I remember the most is right towards the end there was a 4th and 1. Just hearing everybody in the stadium doing the Finish Strong slogan that was this year. That was the chant that we started doing there on that 4th and 1. It was just amazing to hear that instead of the Houdat chant. It was great.
And it had to be just so loud in there, I can imagine. You know, we talk about the 12th man on the field. It's the fans. You guys definitely pulled it off tonight, you would say, right?
Yes, ma'am. We went past the 12th man. We had the 13th, the 14th, the 15th man. This is the fans right here. We're behind the Saints. We support them all the way.
And tell me, you're with him here. I see the face painted. What was it like for you in the Dome tonight?
Well, it was a privilege, and I'd like to thank the players. The fans are wonderful. The players got it done. and they're going to make us all very happy for the next few weeks, as well they have done the whole season.
And now the night is young. You guys are down here on Bourbon Street. What has Bourbon Street been like for you guys down here celebrating with all of the fans?
It's a madhouse out here. This is what I imagine it would be. It's great. This is where the party's going to be in 2 weeks.
The party, people keep asking, are you going to the Super Bowl? And I'm like, the party's here, for sure, home.
Yeah, Chris and I were talking about that a little while ago, and he said he's going to be right here in New Orleans while the Saints are in Miami.
Absolutely.
Because this is where the party's at, right, guys?
It's home, and we have this.
And I have a feeling that this is not going to end anytime soon. John and Nancy, back to you.
Yeah, some night owls out there for sure. Thanks to Tasha Robin live in the French Quarter. And let's go back to John Henry Smith and Jennifer Hale in the Dome.
All right, thank you very much, Jennifer Hale, joining me here and now in a quickly emptying out Louisiana Superdome. We're happy to be left here, just soaking in a little bit more of this energy.
What a great night.
Exactly. You know, it's one of those nights that you don't want to end.
No, we've waited 43 years for this. It's incredible. There'll never be another moment like this. There'll never be a first Super Bowl bid again.
Well, and I know what the Saints fans have to be feeling right now. I mean, one playoff win in their first 39 years of existence, and now you go back and now you have they go to the Super Bowl within 4 years of Sean Payton taking over in 2006. What an amazing turnaround for this team.
Oh gosh, it's been an incredible ride, and not just with the football team, but the whole city. And I think the post-Katrina recovery, everything that this city has been through, tonight's win just epitomizes the whole sum of what people have put into bringing the city back, because if New Orleans hadn't come back, there would be no New Orleans Saints. So not to take anything away from the team, everyone is so proud of them, but I think they're proud of themselves too. And this is just a show to the world that this city is back and we're here to stay.
Well, we talked earlier that Jen Hale, being the brave soul that she is, went up to some obviously not too happy Minnesota Vikings afterwards and tried to find out what they think, and believe it or not, they actually talked to you.
Well, you know, John Henry, of course they were disappointed. Who wouldn't be? It was a hard-fought game. It was so close for a while. It was back and forth. It was anybody's ball game right up until the last second. But I was really impressed at the fact that they did stop to speak with us. They were so polite, and they were so understanding. And when I asked them, you know, this means so much to the city. Did you get that sense when you were here? All of them said absolutely. And we're pulling for the Saints. And if we couldn't do this, we're glad it's the Saints that get to go, because it obviously means a lot to this town. So in their short time here, they really soaked that in.
Wow, that's as sweet as applesauce. I mean, that's...
I think it was hard.
That's amazing.
It was hard not to feel it here. This dome was electric, you know, and it was not just about winning a football game. It was so much more than that tonight.
Well, if we have some sound from some of those Minnesota Vikings players, let's hear it from them now.
Turnovers.
Killed ya?
Yeah, pretty much. It killed us today. And still with that, we had an opportunity to win the game. Right now, I'm still in shock. But, you know, for some reason, New Orleans needed it more than us.
This is a huge deal to the city. I mean, it says for every resident here, to the nation and the world, New Orleans is back and it's not going anywhere.
Maybe that's the reason. You know, because with 5 or 6 turnovers, still have an opportunity to win this game. You know, the way the calls went at the end, you got eyes, you can make your own opinion. It was meant for New Orleans to go to Super Bowl.
Turnovers usually are in championship games like that.
How big of a deal was this home crowd field?
You know what, I thought our guys did a great job handling the home crowd atmosphere, you know.
How loud do you think it was?
You'd have to tell me you got the decibel meter.
Was it a factor for y'all?
You know what, you didn't see us have any false starts or anything like that, so
not at all.
I thought our guys did a great job with it.
Would you have any words of advice for the Saints heading into the Super Bowl against Peyton Manning and the Colts?
Yeah, I'm probably not the one to be giving advice right now. You know, they're the winners, so the winners are spoils.
Brett, I know this was a big deal.
I'm sorry, we're leaving.
Could we just walk with them?
No.
Brett, would you mind if we walked with you?
We gotta catch your bus.
I'm gonna walk with you.
Exhausted. No. I'm sorry, ma'am.
I understand this is just a huge deal for the city, and I know that Brett has been a Saints fan his lifelong.
Thank you very much.
I just like his thoughts on the Saints and the city going back.
A great year. Hey, babe, they're still going. Come on.
Jennifer Hale trying to catch Brett Favre like a on-rushing defensive lineman. Couldn't quite get there, but still you got pretty close.
You know what, John Turnipseed, Travis Conley, we did our best to get close, and we were able to speak to him. His handlers and the officers kept us back from getting the microphone close enough to him to hear what he had to say. The first couple of questions he declined to answer, but when I said, hey, Brett, you're from this region, I know this has to be so disappointing for you, but on the flip side, you have to have a sense and feeling of what this means for this area to win this, because you grew up a Saints fan when you were a little kid.
That's right.
And he said, you know what? If it can't be me, I'm glad it's Saints. Tough loss, but go Saints. Because he knows. Killed Mississippi. He, his family, close friends, they all went through what a lot of us went through here. So he knows how much this means.
And we saw Brett Favre in that video, and we saw Brett Favre tonight looking like the old Warrior, beaten, battered, walking on and off the field with a limp, walking away dejectedly after a loss. After 19 years, who knows? This may have been the last game that Brett Favre plays in the National Football League. And you talk about one of the iconic figures, not only in football, but in sports. Non-football fans know who Brett Favre is.
Of course, beaten, battered. Of course, I have to take the opposite angle. There's been so much debate about should he have come back? Was it fair to his teams? Good gosh, look at what he has accomplished. And he came back.
Amazing.
He played this game so close. He was such a force for that Vikings team. I'm proud that that's who we got to play to win the NFC Championship. What a great tribute to this team that it was Brett Favre that we got to take on and ultimately defeat. And I thought he played a fantastic game.
Indeed, he did play well. Did play with pride, not as well as he had hoped. He did turn the ball over a couple times, but still, I mean, to even get to this point, pretty amazing thing for a 40-year-old guy, which I said before to that whippersnapper Rob Ennis, 40's not old. If Rob's listening.
Peyton Manning coming up next, another hometown boy. You know, it's kind of interesting.
Exactly.
The road to the Super Bowl. The Saints have had to play so many hometown favorites. Brett Favre, Peyton Manning coming up next. So the road to the Super Bowl went right through our hometown heroes, so to speak.
All right, but before we get to Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl, let's deal with the second half of the Saints versus the Vikings. It was exciting. Opening kickoff of the second half. Courtney Roby gets the ball and runs like a fullback through the first line of defense, and then he runs like a swift kick returner, and before he was done, he would go 61 yards to set up the Saints at the 37-yard line. And just 4 plays later, Pierre Thomas would take it up the middle, 10 yards for the touchdown. Replay showed that Thomas's knee was down, but the refs didn't look at it, and so that play went unchallenged. 21-14, Saints take the lead. Next Vikings possession. Adrian Peterson gets hit in the backfield by Vilma and fumbles the ball. A scrum ensues. Who's got it? And the Minnesota Vikings recover it, but 10 yards back. And just a few plays later, Favre dropping and throwing the flag pattern to Visante Shenko. Had a heck of a game. And he goes out of bounds, makes the one-handed catch over Tracy Porter. That would set up Minnesota at the 2-yard line, and that's where Adrian Peterson next play takes it in from 2 yards out to tie the game at 21. After a Saints punt on their next possession, the Vikings take over. Adrian Peterson's got the ball again, and he fumbles again. This time fumbling forward. He races ahead and recovers his own fumble, but that earns him a seat on the bench. Later in that same drive, Favre dropping to throw. Throws it over the middle, picked off by Jonathan Vilma. That's an important play, but look here. Look what else happens. Favre is hurt. Look how he got hurt. Rummy Adele hits him high. Bobby McCray hits him low. Favre has a bum ankle, has to be helped off to the sidelines. They tend to him there. Later on, Vikings get the ball back after another Saints punt. And remember, Adrian Peterson's on the sideline, so Percy Harvin's carrying the ball, and he fumbles. Remy Adele looking for it, finding it, picking up, and returning it to the Vikings' 10-yard line. And that's where, 3 plays later, Brees all day to throw. And then finally finding Reggie Bush over there by the flag, twists, forces his way into the end zone. At first they call him out of bounds. Sean Payton challenges, and he wins the challenge. 28-21, the Saints go up on top. And now going into, we are now in the 4th quarter. Vikings have on their next possession. Adrian Peterson finally gets back in the game on his first play back in the game. Look at that run, 28 powerful yards. Harper missed the tackle on that one, setting up the Vikings in good standing. Later on in that drive, Bernard Berrien catches a pass over the middle, fumbles the ball again. 6 fumbles by the Vikings in this game. Vilma recovers, and threat averted once again. That was their second fumble, their second turnover inside the red zone this game. Saints again could not do anything with it. They punt. Vikings take over. And in their next drive, the fade pattern from Favre to Bernard Berry, an incomplete, but penalty on Tracy Porter, pass interference. That sets up the Vikings on the 1-yard line. And Adrian Peterson, 2 plays later, takes it into the end zone to knot this game up at 28. The Vikings call a timeout after that run. Then they come back, and just before the next play starts, Favre calls timeout again. Can't do that. Can't call 2 straight timeouts. With the Vikings in field goal range in the late going of the 4th quarter, the Vikings take a 5-yard penalty. And then the next play, Favre completely self-destructs, throwing the interception to Tracy Porter, who redeems himself. Returns at 22 yards, and this game is going to overtime, tied at 28. The Saints won the toss, and Garrett Hartley to put the Saints in the Super Bowl. The kick is up. The kick is perfect. Perfect. The Saints, who started out this season perfect. Yes, they were 13-0. Yes, they had a little trouble down the stretch, but in the end, the Saints survive and go to the Super Bowl. They win the NFC Championship Game 31-28. And what a game it was. What a game it was. You could tell I was a bit excited when I was narrating those highlights, and who wouldn't be? I mean, this is truly an historic night here in the Louisiana Superdome. Saints win 31-28 to advance to the Super Bowl. John and Nancy, I know this is a night that I won't forget. I'm sure you won't either.
No, a long time coming. You know, history is a word that gets used too much, but it really is historic. When you look at what the city and what the team has been through. Jabari Greer was probably right when he said it would be an instant classic on ESPN. A little while after that, after the end of the game, Rob Ennis spoke with Saints owner Tom Benson.
Mr. Benson, you've been waiting for this day for a long time.
Oh, man, 25 years, man.
25 years.
25 years, but that's what it's worth the wait.
What went through your mind when you saw that field goal go through?
I love him.
Tom Benson, age 82, seeing this must be just the highlight of his life. All right, well, right now people are trying to get Saints merchandise, fast and furious, and let's go live to Jennifer Van Branken at Sports Academy in Harahan.
That's where we are, and that's where your Saints fans are, getting the items hot off the presses. Yeah. Show me what you got.
Oh, yes, yes.
What made you want to come out at this hour to get this?
I'm a Saints fan, and I'm ready all the way. I knew we was going to do it, so I say Academy is going to be open for us to get our shirts. Definitely.
What do you think?
I love it. I love it. Who that? Who that? Who that? Who that said they're going to beat the Saints?
These people didn't have to wait very long. They actually had a line, we're told, of several hundred people around the building earlier, and there was some craziness still going on just a little bit ago, so we're going to take you inside right now. This is the crowd gathered at Academy Sports. Coming in, are y'all coming to get this? This is the goods hot off the presses. Conference champions, 2009 black and gold Super Bowl. It's what the city, of course, has been talking about. What are you going to be getting?
Probably a hat.
Yeah. Hat, t-shirt?
Maybe.
Now, what made you come out at this hour to get this stuff?
Because I'm a
Why did y'all come out at this time? Why not wait till tomorrow?
Because we true Saints fans. Because we made history tonight! More than once we made history.
You can see.
Oh, yes, indeed.
I bet she's going to be able to find a pair of Saint socks or something for her bare feet. But you can see they've got all of the goods. that are hot off the presses, the championship shirts. You can see people milling around here. They also have lines all around the store and lines backed up at the checkout and more people coming in yelling "Who dat?" So this is definitely the place that people, the next step after the big win is to get the goods for the Super Bowl. Now, the next step people are talking about now is work. Y'all were saying you have to go to work, but you got your outfit picked out, right, tomorrow?
Oh, yes. I was going to put on my scrubs. I work at Children's Hospital, but tomorrow I will be wearing my championship shirt. That's why I came out to get it.
All right. Now, y'all are showing up at work tomorrow, right?
Oh, yeah.
And school. You got some Jesuit students over here. Do y'all get exempt or anything for this?
No.
We're not going to exempt.
It's going to be hard waking up tomorrow,
We
but
have lots of tests, actually.
our
A
teachers
lot of
aren't very
tests.
nice.
Yeah.
What do y'all think? I mean, this is history in the making.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely history making, but we still have to go to school tomorrow.
We've been waiting since I was born for
Maybe
this.
it'll be an excuse for the history teacher, at least. You know, this is history in the making. Y'all can try it. So, again, you've got all the items that are being sold already hot off the presses. Fortunately, it went the way that we wanted to see on those T-shirts, and people are standing in line and waiting to get them. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks. Some really, really mean teachers giving a pop quiz tomorrow.
I know. I wonder how late the store will be open for people to rush in and get the merchandise. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us.
When looking for a pre-owned vehicle, come to Crown, because for over 35 years, our customers have experienced mistake-free, worry-free shopping. All part of the Crown commitment. All of our pre-owned vehicles come with a money-back guarantee, a complimentary powertrain warranty, and all go through the same 117-point certified inspection. And you won't beat our prices. Here's a 2010 Chevy Camaro with only 9,700 miles for just $24,845. Check us online for all of our pre-owned specials at CrownBuickPontiacGMC.com.
The Saints are NFC champions for the first time and are going to the Super Bowl, and Wilson has just released the NFC Champions Game football to the public. This is the same football used in the historic game at the Superdome, with the addition of a third commemorative panel with the Saints logo, the words 2009 NFC Champions, and the score of the historic game. This is the same ball used during the most historic win in Saints history. Order yours today for $129.95 plus shipping by calling 1-866-280-BATS or go to spikefootball.com for this once-in-a-lifetime historic offer.
Finally, the people of Jefferson Parish have a local option when it comes to banking. Some financial freedom to do the things they want to do and the things they need to do. You see, Jefferson Financial Credit Union has expanded to meet the needs of everyone in our community. Jefferson Financial Credit Union offers low-interest auto loans, home loans, and more, all from a local lender who understands the needs of their neighbors. It's time to look towards the future, and the future of banking in Jefferson Parish is Jefferson Financial.
Toyota Camry, Toyota Corolla. Look closer at the Toyotas that so many other manufacturers compare their cars to. But it's Toyota that earned the Best Resale Value Award from KBB.com. That means you're saving today and tomorrow. Toyota, there's no comparison. Lease a new 2010 Camry for $199 a month, or save thousands on a new 2010 Corolla with 0 APR for 60 months. To see why there's no comparison, visit buyatoyota.com.
You're watching the NFC Champion Saints postgame show on Fox 8.
The 2009-2010 New Orleans Saints are champions of the National Football Conference. The confetti that fell in the moments after the victory, after Garrett Hartley's 40-yard field goal, propelled the Saints on to Miami. And the thing that I thought about, Nancy, as I watched that is, you know, that this is a building that has hosted so many Super Bowls, so many major events, that really kind of eclipsed what it was designed to do. You know, the Republican National Convention, for example, there, but they were so often these kinds of celebrations have been wonderful events for New Orleans, but somebody else's victory. And tonight this was the city's victory, our victory. There are a couple of LSU national championships along the way, but for the, you know, this was something that was shared by the city. And, you know, we've talked throughout the year, the Saints are the hit television program, the hit television show of the fall. I have very little doubt that the Super Bowl in 2 weeks on another network will be probably the highest rated, maybe not the most watched because we don't have the population, but the highest rated TV show, very possibly on one channel anyway, in the history of the market. The top 10 TV programs since the year 2000 are Super Bowls, 1 through 10. In New Orleans, the Saints in the regular season were eclipsing Super Bowl numbers week after week after week. The Monday Night Football game on the two channels combined did an 83 share of the audience. I mean, sports is about statistics. From the TV standpoint, it's been mind-boggling.
Well, and that's why you saw the fans just all over themselves, is because they love their Saints. They've always loved their Saints, and this may be the first year, other than we've gotten pretty far, but this is the first year where hope looked like it was real.
Well, and it's, you know, you have your football fan, you have your diehard football fan who, you know, is doing the fantasy football stuff and knows every guy on the roster and is there watching the roster lineup during the preseason. What was different here is that people who were watching this game, who were sharing in this experience, weren't just, it went beyond just the mild football fan or the fair weather fan to the person who's not a fan, who was, you know, really caught up in this. Numbers that, you know, the majority of people in metropolitan New Orleans shared in this experience today.
And the neat thing
yesterday.
Is, when you saw all the confetti falling, I thought about New York's ticker tape parades and how many of those they've had. But we get to have a big Mardi Gras season, which could be our Super Bowl parades. And we talked about how a lot of the Mardi Gras floats have been changed to Saints themes. So how perfect is that? We won't have one parade. We'll have a whole carnival season full of celebrations from the Saints.
Every once in a while we'll talk about, you know, the fact that, oh, Mardi Gras is early this year, so it's condensed. This city will wake up in now, I started to say a week from tomorrow, but actually in 2 weeks from today, what is now Monday, and realize, oh, it's Mardi Gras, because, or these two celebrations sort of merge together, I guess.
So get some sleep when you can, but you won't be able to get very much for sure, because this is an amazing, amazing night.
And I'm not sure how much sleep John Henry Smith is getting tonight, because I imagine you're still pumped up there, but your thoughts?
John Henry back in the Superdome, and we have apparently we are told that we've got some sound now, because we've talked to so many of the Saints players after this one, but apparently there's one more player that we haven't gotten to, and our own Sean Fazan after the game caught up with Scott Shanley, linebacker number 58.
In the Saints locker room now with linebacker Scott Shanley. And Scott, if you ask anyone that has been covering this team from training camp on, they said the one thing that probably stood out most about you guys on defense was the turnovers, the ball hawking, and I guess it's kind of fitting that that was what put you guys over the edge tonight.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the year, people kind of wanted to look at our defense and look at, you know, where we were ranked total yards or where we were ranked rush defense or pass defense. But to us, our number one goal was turnovers, and you know, we did that well throughout the year, and it played huge dividends in the playoffs. I mean, if we get the ball back and give it to our offense, we'll have a chance to win a lot of games.
You guys ended up +4 in the turnover margin, but there was a few that hit the turf you guys weren't able to get. I know you came close on one. What happened on that play?
I just bent down to scoop and score, and I think there were a couple guys laying down who were trying to grab it and pull it back in, and as I reached down, I think someone grabbed it or tried to grab it and just tipped it out, and then it just became a free-for-all after that, and tried to jump back on it and couldn't get it, but you know, there were a lot of other guys in the game who made up for that play. And I mean, realistically, I mean, we could have came away with 8 turnovers, but A win's a win. We'll take it.
Hey, and you'll have some time to digest this in the coming days, obviously, but I'm curious, as you're playing a game like that, do you kind of get a sense that this is a classic we have going right now?
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed like it was just both teams trying to impose their will, and it's one of those games where you know if you lose, you're going home and you got to watch whoever you lose to play in a couple weeks, and we just get to the point in the game where at the end of the game when they have 12 guys in the huddle, stuff like that doesn't happen in NFC Championship games. I'm just sitting there thinking this has got to be our year for something like that to happen, and then Tracy made a great play, and we get the ball in overtime, and after that play, the penalty, everything just fell in place.
You know, you talk about that play, the 12-men in the huddle. You talk about Pierre Thomas's 4th down conversion, you know, Robert Meacham's catch, and then Reggie's touchdown had to be reviewed and overturned. I mean, in a game so evenly matched, sometimes it comes down to a game of inches.
That's right. I mean, you're defending every blade of grass realistically, especially in an NFC Championship game, and both teams made huge plays, and just we made more plays when it counted is what it came down to.
You know, you could tell by watching the game, but I mean, walk away, do you feel a sense of pride knowing you guys gave absolutely every ounce of everything you guys had for this game?
Absolutely. I mean, the same thing last week. There's a chemistry and a bond on this team, offensively, defensively, all the guys in special teams, and the coaches too. I mean, all the work that we put into, we know way back in June, July training camp, we know that this is why. Moments like this are the reason why we try to outwork everybody in the NFL.
And, you know, you've been in New Orleans since 2006, and I grew up here. A lot of media, they grew up here. And if you ask a lot of people honestly, they would tell you they never thought they would ever have seen this day. I mean, I'm curious how that makes you feel as a player to be able to give them that.
It feels great. I mean, you know, I said way back in August at our team luncheon, I said that we were going to try to bring a world championship to the city of New Orleans, because there's no city or organization that deserves a world championship more than this city and organization, and we're one step away from doing that. So it feels great to be able to do that.
And at least the challenge gets a little bit easier. Next game, you got Peyton Manning instead of Brett Favre.
You know, if you want to be great, you got to beat the great ones, and you start with Kurt Warner, Brett Favre, and now Peyton Manning. I mean, potentially we have to beat 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks to hoist the Lombardi Trophy. And you don't want it any different. You want to beat the great players.
All right, Scott. Best of luck in Miami. Appreciate it. Linebacker Scott Shanley.
I like what Scott Shanley said there. If you want to be great, you have to beat the great ones. And of course, they've gone against Kurt Warner, now Brett Favre, and coming up in a couple of weeks, Peyton Manning.
Maybe the greatest of all time.
Indeed, indeed. And you know, I tell you, when we were doing the Fox 8 tailgate extravaganza this morning, we were getting fed scores in our ear, and we couldn't believe what we were hearing.
Right.
7-3 Jets. Well, what was the? I think they fell down 14-3 or 14-6, something like that. But you had a feeling the cream would rise to the top eventually.
Yeah, they did. The Colts overcame an 11-point deficit to win big over the Jets. And you look at that victory. I mean, Peyton Manning passed for 377 yards against the #1 defense in the NFL. That's concerning when you're going up against the Colts in the Super Bowl, especially with Peyton Manning coming off a game like that. I mean, he's just on fire. When you look at their offense, yeah, they don't have a running game, but he's making guys like Pierre Garçon look like all-pro receivers.
Austin Collie.
Exactly. He is that good. He makes, much like Drew Brees, he makes players around him so much better. And it's all going to be centered around stopping Peyton Manning, because I mentioned they don't have a run game. It's going to be a challenge, game planning for one of the smartest and greatest quarterbacks of all time.
And Rob, one of the things I think that is so impressive about the Indianapolis Colts is that whatever you do to game plan against them, they can adjust and adapt to it. I think about the Miami Dolphins game on Monday Night Football earlier in the season, when the Dolphins came out determined to win the time possession battle. And boy, did they ever. It was something like 45 minutes to 15, and yet at the end of the day, you looked at the scoreboard, it only took the Colts 5 seconds to score those 80-yard and 60-yard touchdowns. They didn't need to win the time of possession, and they won the game.
You got to give a lot of credit to Peyton Manning for that, but you also give a lot of credit to Jim Caldwell, who becomes only, the 5th rookie head coach to lead his team to the Super Bowl. He's done a phenomenal job. I know he took a lot of heat for benching his starters toward the end of the season. Rex Ryan, Jets head coach, really called him out. Today, the Colts didn't rest any of their starters until the end of the game, and they really took it to him.
That's right. Rex Ryan did the talking, but the Colts are doing the walking to the Super Bowl. And that's a quote I think Rex Ryan would be proud of.
That was pretty good.
Thank you very much. I'm here all week. Anyway, so we know it's not going to be an easy game. coming up in 2 weeks against the Indianapolis Colts. And the Saints, haven't had an easy road of it, but they've shown that they can meet the challenges. And they, now, of course, they'll be playing outside as opposed to inside of a dome. They've had good success so far this year in Dolphin Stadium, or whatever they're calling that place now.
Yeah, they did. They really played well. Strong second half comeback in Miami after that pitiful first half. I think they were down 21-3. Then it was one of the greatest comebacks in Saints history out there. So they've been there. That's going to help this year. They know the layout, the stadium, the experience factor is going to help. But going up against Peyton Manning, doesn't it make it a lot more interesting for our perspective?
For us, for sure.
I mean, you have
Absolutely.
New Orleans native Peyton Manning. I mean, you want to, the Saints always say, we want to finish strong. That's their motto. Well, you can't finish any stronger than beating Peyton Manning and the Colts.
Absolutely, and I think the people who are broadcasting the game, they've got to be very happy with this matchup. Peyton Manning versus a team that Terry Bradshaw doesn't want us to call the Saints America's team.
No.
But I think America has probably got a soft spot for this New Orleans Saints team, what they've been through and how far they've come in just such a very short period of time.
Yeah, Terry said you don't want to be called America's team because you don't want to have that target on your back.
Exactly.
And this team is certainly, if they're not America's team, they're certainly one of the favorites, though, considering what this city has been through. And just, even today, Jennifer Hale was talking about it afterwards. Brett Favre, he didn't win. But he was saying, you know what, if there was a team that should win, it should be the Saints, just given through what this organization, this team, and this town has been through. And guys like that, are pulling for the Saints to win.
Absolutely, absolutely. And getting back to the Colts quickly. Now, one of the interesting things that I thought happened tonight against the Minnesota Vikings, they came in with a vaunted pass rush. We were so worried about Ray Edwards and Jared Allen, their two defensive ends, and yet they gave Jerron Bushwan a lot of help. Yep. They kept tight ends in, and they as much as they could neutralize that fearsome pass rush. Well, they go up against the Indianapolis Colts with Robert Mathis, an all-pro on one side, Dwight Freeney, an all-pro on the other. It doesn't get any easier.
No, it doesn't. And we're talking to Stinchcomb after the game, and we were asking him about Bushrod, and he said, you know what, Bushrod really held his own tonight. If you watch the one-on-one matchups with Jared Allen, he really stepped up. Yeah, they brought some help in on the back end to relieve some of the pressure, but you look at what Bushrod has been through all season with Jason Taylor, Abraham, all these, stud defensive ends.
He faces the best player on that defense game in and game out.
And that experience factor, hopefully pays off against a guy like Dwight Freeney, who's obviously one of the best in the NFL.
Exactly, a defensive end who can run like a running back, which is very uncommon in the world of pro football. So, boy, so much to dissect about this matchup coming out between the Indianapolis Colts and the New Orleans Saints in the Super Bowl, and I don't know about you, Rob, but I just can't wait. It's going to be a great football game. Beyond our interest in it as broadcasters and as fans, it's just going to be, if you love the game of football, this is the matchup you wanted to see.
There's the ultimate matchup on the ultimate stage, and just think, we got 2 weeks to prepare for this. Not to mention the Pro Bowls a week before, talking to guys like John Stinchcomb in the locker room, first time going, he's like, you know what? I could care less about the Pro Bowl. We're in Miami for one reason, to get that Super Bowl.
That's right. If there was ever a game that they didn't want to play in, it was the Pro Bowl, and those Saints Pro Bowlers are going to have to let somebody else fill in for them because they've got other things to do. They're going down to Miami to bring home a championship back to the Crescent City. So that's the story from Louisiana Superdome. Back to you.
All right, thanks, John, Henry, and Rob. And by the way, they're calling it Sun Life Stadium now. Sun Life Financial just hung their shingle on it. So that's where the action will be in Miami in a couple of weeks.
There are actually some very excited NFL players who get to play in the Pro Bowl now to take the place of the Saints who will not be there. So, and we'll see, this is kind of an experiment from the NFL. They don't play in Hawaii this year. They think it'll work out, and we may have the very same experience in a few years when the game is in New Orleans.
Yes, 2013. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us.
Hartley sends the Saints to the Super Bowl.
with your team. Let Prime Sport be your game-winning connection for travel packages. As an official fan travel partner, Prime Sport handles all the X's and O's you need for hospitality, parties, hotels, and more. Prime Sport always comes through for your family or business, offering packages to the biggest events in sports all year round. For more information or to book your Prime Sport travel package, visit primesport.com today.
It's Monday. Some people will stick with their old way of getting vitamins and minerals. Others will try Total Raisin Bran with 100% of the daily value of 11 essential vitamins and minerals and the luscious taste of plump, juicy raisins and crunchy whole grain flakes. Guess it's all about what kind of crunch you like. How are you getting 100%? Visit TotalCereal.com and get a coupon.
iMasters believes expectations are for raising, so how about 2 complete pair of glasses for $99 or 2 pair of no-line bifocals for $149? And every frame, even designers, are just $59.95. iMasters, why pay more?
Pure cane sugar and the stevia plant. 2 of nature's sweetest wonders growing together under the same sun. And now for the first time in new Sun Crystals, the only 100% natural sweetener made with pure cane sugar and stevia. Finally, all the sweetness of nature and just 5 calories a packet. Nature gave us the recipe. We just gave it a name. New Sun Crystals All Natural Sweetener. 2 natural wonders, 1 sweet taste.
I fight deep-set eye wrinkles 24 hours a day.
L'Oreal's new Revitalift Deep Set Wrinkle Eye Repair Duo. Expert AM plus PM treatments reduce deep crow's feet and under-eye creping.
Trust me, this really works.
New Revitalift Deep Set Wrinkle Eye Repair Duo by L'Oreal.
To help my patients avoid dental problems, I recommend Act Fluoride Mouthwash. Act Restoring works with calcium to rebuild enamel, making it twice as strong. That's why dentists recommend Act Restoring Mouthwash. To avoid dental problems, act daily.
How do you get perfectly even coverage without any streaks? Just roll it on.
Discover L'Oreal's new True Match Roller Foundation. It's the roller revolution. Roll on the new flexible stretch formula that seamlessly blends for a poreless, airbrushed finish that's 100% even.
Rolled on, not caked on. No lines, no streaks. Now perfection is just a roll away.
For a perfectly airbrushed look every time.
New True Match Roller, only from L'Oreal.
And we're